Here we go.
Hello, welcome, and thank you so much for joining tonight. My name is Pam. I work for JDRF, and I am located in Calgary, Alberta. On behalf of JDRF, we would like to welcome you to our Let's Talk T1D educational series. We're excited to present you with more information on the latest in insulin pump technology. JDRF is a global leader in working towards an end to type 1 diabetes through both research, funding, and advocacy. JDRF also supports people and families in the T1D community from the time of diagnosis by helping those living with T1D to have better, healthier, and safer lives while we work to find a cure. Since COVID-19, we have not been able to safely meet in person, so JDRF created the Let's Talk T1D series. During this session today, each of our speakers will have approximately 5 to 7 minutes to discuss their device, and then we will open the session to your questions. So let's go over a few housekeeping items before we get started. This session will be recorded, and we will send out an email with a link to the recording, along with the contact information for each of the pump manufacturers here tonight. If you have any questions, please ask those in the Q&A, and we will try to get to as many questions as possible given time. As we have several speakers, if you have a question addressed to a specific pump manufacturer, please note this in your question. Feel free to ask questions at any point, but we'll get to them after everyone has had a chance to present. Please also note that reimbursement and coverage of devices differs across age groups and provinces. If you have any questions about this, each of the manufacturers have expertise in helping you navigate insurance and reimbursement. And again, we'll be sending out contact information in the follow-up email. I'd now like to get started and introduce our first speaker this evening from Insulet Canada, makers of the Omnipod insulin management system. Please welcome Carol Ann Maloney, clinical specialist and territory manager.
Hi, everyone. Nice to meet you in our new virtual COVID world. I'm Carol Ann. I am the representative for Omnipod in the Maritimes. So it's officially past my bedtime here, but I'll do my best to keep it all together. So next slide, please. So I'm not sure if many of you know, but Omnipod is actually the product that we make, and Insulet is the company that makes it. And we've been around for 20 years. And we've been founded we're going a little fast, but that's okay. We were founded by from a dad. His name is John Brooks, and he had a child living with type 1 diabetes. And if you can go back to the timeline if possible, that would be great. But essentially when it was time for his son to go on a pump, when it was time for his son to go on a pump, he was only offered options that had tubing. So John was an engineer, and he decided that he would like a pump that provided accuracy and precision, but also and freedom for his son. So he pulled together a group of experts, and together they came up with the Omnipod insulin pump. Still on the timeline, what happened throughout the years, our pod actually got a lot smaller, and we are able to make continuous improvements within the pod itself. So it's a pretty well-functioning pod at this point. Most recently in October, we received Health Canada approval for our newest product, the Omnipod Dash, coming to Canada in early 2021. Next slide. Next slide. All right, so Omnipod is made up of two parts. So a PDM, which is your handheld device or your remote control on the left, and then the pod on the right. And the pod is essentially your pump. Next slide. So the pod is actually quite small, but there's a lot of little things happening on the inside of the pod. There's a reservoir built into it that holds up to 200 units of rapid-acting insulin. There's battery life that allows it to last for 3 days. And there is a mechanism that allows it to insert the cannula under your skin for you. And it can be worn anywhere where you would normally inject. Next slide. Here's a picture of the cannula under the skin. So it goes in at a 60-degree angle, and it's 6.5 millimeters long. All you need to do is press the button on the PDM and the cannula inserts at 1/200th of a second at the same depth, the same angle every time, and you never see a needle. Next slide. The PDM is a device that also acts as a blood glucose meter. It has a large bright screen and it is very easy to use. Next slide. Next slide. Right, so to get started on Omnipod, you draw up how much insulin you need for 3 days, you put it into the pod, you stick it to your body, and then you go to the PDM and tell it to insert, and it does all of that automatically for you. So it's very easy to use. Next slide. You can wear it at any insertion site. So, you know, the great thing about wearing Omnipod is you can decide to hide it on your belly or on your buttocks, or you can wear it loud and proud and paint it and put stickers on it on your arm or your leg. The nicest thing is it does allow for great site rotation, which helps keep your injection sites healthy because you will be wearing it for a while. Next slide. So why choose Omnipod? If you're currently injecting, the most obvious thing is that the Omnipod is 1 insertion every 3 days versus 4 to 5 injections a day. And as already mentioned, it automatically inserts itself and it's discrete insulin delivery. Next slide. Here's actually a slide that demonstrates the benefits of a pump over injecting. So the purple line is injected long-acting insulin, and the yellow line is how a pump delivers insulin. So you set up rates that are determined by your diabetes care team. The neat thing is that you customize the rate that works for you, and the rate that works for you is very different than a rate that works for someone else. And you have the ability to jump in and adjust those rates depending on what you're planning to do. So activity as an example. Next slide. The PDM is a calculator. You can stop doing math in your head. So this is a big thing when people move to a pump. They love how the pump does all the math. You tell it what your blood sugar is, and you tell it how many grams of carbs you're eating, and with all your settings, it will tell you how much insulin to take and give you a safe recommendation. Next slide. If you're looking at Omnipod compared to a tubed insulin pump, the biggest difference is the number of parts. And again, the auto cannula insertion is unique to Omnipod. The ability to access more sites without having to wear tubing and not needing to disconnect are also advantages. Next slide. There are many reasons people on a tubed pump disconnect, and there's a list. So showering, swimming. Because the pod is waterproof, it can be worn in all those cases with no disruption in insulin delivery. Next slide. And data. So the pod holds 3 months worth of data, but you can also download it to a program called Diasend, where your clinic can log in and help adjust settings. So it's very user-friendly. You can also add on your continuous blood glucose monitoring devices or flash blood glucose monitor to see all of your data in one place. Next slide. How to get started. So first thing is talk to your diabetes center or your doctor about your interest in a pump, and they can help get you prepared. Then you can go to the Omnipod website and fill out a patient information form, and then we will help you with the paperwork from there. We will look into your private insurance and guide you to the provincial program for coverage. Next slide. There's a team of us that are here to help. Most importantly, you do get product support 24/7. There's a number at the bottom. If you have interest in learning more, just jot it down. You can give us a call and we'll go through this in far more detail. Next slide. A couple of key things. We do offer a 90-day money-back guarantee. When people are shopping for pumps, they don't know what they're shopping for, so don't feel that you're making the wrong decision. If you do not like it in the first 90 days, you can return it for your full money back. We also offer a switch program. So if you are currently on a tubed pump and you are interested in Omnipod, you could qualify for a free Omnipod PDM, and we will honor your existing warranty, and you get to keep your current pump if you feel it doesn't work for you. Next slide. We have vacation loaner programs for people that are lucky enough to travel outside of Canada. So you would just call us and we would set you up with that. If you are worried you're going to lose your PDM, you will not lose it. But if you're worried you will, we will replace it one time for free in your 5-year warranty. And as you know, the pods are one-time use. So you wear it for 3 days, you take it off, and you pull a brand new pod out of the box. So we actually do have a pod recycling program that we pay for, and it basically allows us to dispose of the materials in the pod responsibly. Next slide. And as I've mentioned, the Omnipod Dash is our new product coming. It was approved in October by Health Canada, and we hope to have more information about this to be able to launch it in 2021. So stay tuned for that. Next slide. If you are interested in trying a demo kit is basically a pod that will not insert, but you can wear it on your site to see what it feels like. We recommend wearing it for 3 days, and you know how it sticks, how it feels, and if it's something that you think you would be interested in trying. There's the number there that you can call to order one. And that's it in 7 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'd now like to introduce Medtronic, makers of Canada's only self-adjusting insulin pump system. Please welcome John David Ferrari, sales consultant from Ontario.
Excellent. Can we hear me?
Yes, you are live.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining us all this evening. Welcome to this overview of the MiniMed 670G system, the world's first and of course Canada's only self-adjusting insulin pump. So before we jump in, let's sort of take a look at some of the challenges that you and your loved ones might be facing on a day-to-day basis. And you know, this slide resonates with me quite a bit because I actually live with type 1 diabetes myself. So looking at some of these questions, you know, it really sort of outlines the burden that type 1 diabetes, the mental burden that it can have on someone living with type 1 diabetes. And I want to be very clear, the insulin pump, the MiniMed 670G insulin pump has 2 goals, right? So our first goal is of course to reduce glycemic variability, increase time and range, all that fun stuff. But the second goal is to reduce the mental burden that type 1 diabetes will have on those living with type 1 diabetes. And if you're not achieving both of those goals, I want to hear from you, we want to hear from you, and make sure that we're getting you on the right path. So here's a really good slide that sort of outlines the differences between A1C and time and range. Now, A1C is something that we all know and love, I'm sure, but time and range might be familiar to some of you, but might be new to some of you as well. So on the left here, we have 2 individuals living with type 1 diabetes, and on the right, we have their diabetes profiles. So we can see here person A versus person B. Now, person A and person B, so both their profiles are sort of visible to you here. Take a quick moment to look at them and see which profile you would prefer. Would you prefer person A or person B? And I think that most of us would agree person B is certainly the one you would mimic your type 1 management after if you had to. But when we look at their A1C levels, we can see that person A has a 7% A1C and person B also has a 7% A1C. Right, so this doesn't show us the complete picture. This certainly isn't a knock on A1C by any stretch, but it doesn't show us everything that's going on. Time and range, however, does. So when we see here, person A has a 19% time in range versus person B's 71% time in range, now we can see the full picture. Now, the MiniMed 670G system, specifically in auto mode, we are targeting a time in range of over 72%. So we want A1Cs to be low, of course, but we want them low with minimal lows and increase our time in range as much as possible. Now, the beauty of the MiniMed 670G system is it's a 3-in-1 insulin pump. So we can use this insulin pump in multiple different capacities. Primarily, we have manual mode. Now, this is something that's available everywhere. This is manual insulin pump therapy. It's something that every company, can offer. And we can achieve a time in range of about 50 to 55% or so, about half the time between 3.9 and 10. Now, this gives us the ability to set basal rates and basal patterns and dual and square wave boluses and all that fun stuff. And you tell the insulin pump how many carbohydrates you're eating, and it gives insulin based on calculations that the pump calculates. Now, the second mode is pump with CGM mode. Now, this gives us advanced protection from hypoglycemia. And with this insulin pump mode on and a sensor attached, the insulin pump will shut basal insulin off when it's predicting a low blood sugar and resume basal insulin delivery when you are no longer low. right? So this is phenomenal to help give us a little bit more flexibility and safety, especially overnight with preventing low blood sugars. And here we're increasing our time in range to about 64-65% are what studies are showing. Now, the star of our show, Smart Guard Auto Mode, this is the third and final mode. Now, again, I want to be very clear. You can alter between all three of these modes as much or as little as you want to. But in Smart Guard Auto Mode, now you're getting advanced protection from low and high blood sugar. And again, this is the only insulin pump that can do that for you. So this insulin pump every 5 minutes will adjust your basal insulin delivery to prevent low and high blood sugars. So if your blood sugars are falling, the pump will reduce or completely shut off your insulin delivery. And as your blood sugars are rising, the pump will increase your basal insulin delivery to prevent the highs. And here we're achieving a time in range of a bare minimum 72%. Now, this is exactly how Smart Guard Auto Mode works. So you'll see it here come up on the screen. As your blood sugars start to rise, basal insulin delivery increases, and as blood sugars fall, basal insulin decreases. And how is that different from sort of manual mode insulin pump technology, kind of like what I showed you earlier? We can see here on this slide how insulin delivery isn't changing based on what your blood sugars are doing. So here in this instance, this individual is sort of going to bed around 9 o'clock. Blood sugars are maybe a little bit high, around 10 or so, but you might be thinking that's super safe. You might be thinking, okay, I'm not going to go low. My blood sugars are 10, 10 or 11. I'm sort of, fairly safe to go to bed, not having to worry about waking up in the middle of the night with a low. In this case, unfortunately, blood sugars were falling for whatever reason. But as you can see on the bottom, pre-programmed basal insulin delivery isn't changing. So those basal rates are remaining static. They're not adjusting. And in fact, based on these pre-programmed basal rates, these basal rates are actually increasing, which is giving more insulin as this individual is low, which I think everyone can agree is the wrong thing to do. When we're looking on the right with Smart Guard Auto Mode, we can see how automation is preventing those low and high blood sugars. As blood sugars are rising, insulin delivery is increasing. As blood sugars are falling, insulin delivery is decreasing. So really, really, really effective way to preventing low and high blood sugars, of course, and like I said, bettering your type 1 management. But again, don't forget that second piece. We want to prevent and eliminate as much of that mental burden type 1 diabetes is having on you as we can. And in this case, we're preventing those low and high blood sugars, which is giving you a lot of that time back. Now, this is a slide I really like as well. Shows us sort of 4 nights in automation. And I want to outline 2 very important pieces from this slide. So first and foremost is blood sugars, right? So you can see here, you can see that green bar going across the middle of these 4 nights. That's sort of your time in range, right? So the bottom of that bar is 3.9, the top of that bar is 10. And each of these 4 nights, this individual is in range pretty much 100% of the time with no lows, no highs. Beautiful. Now, when we're looking at that the basal insulin delivery along the bottom, we can see how it's completely different each night. So we have different profiles each and every night because this insulin pump is determining that this individual needs different amounts of basal insulin at different times of the night to prevent those low and high blood sugars. So it's really, really critical to sort of understand how each night, and I'm sure that everyone can sort of agree here, no 2 nights, no 2 days are the same, depending on your exercise levels, depending on what you've been eating, depending on how much sleep you've had the previous night or how stressed you are. That will all influence your blood sugar. So you need different amounts of basal insulin each hour, really, depending on what you're doing on that particular day or that particular night. So this sort of really outlines the differences in terms of how much insulin is delivered to keep your blood sugars relatively the same. Now, with the MiniMed 670G, when you order the MiniMed 670G with Medtronic, you also get access to our Next Tech Pathway program, which is a phenomenal program that Medtronic has launched recently. So as you can see on the screen, if you buy the pump or you order the insulin pump with Medtronic, you get an upgrade to our Next technology for $0. And not only do you get an upgrade, but you actually get a brand new insulin pump. So as we all know, whenever you get something new, you always get some scratches and scuffs on it or anything like that. And of course, those are all replaceable under warranty, but it's always nice to get a new and shiny device too. So if you order the MiniMed 670G system with Medtronic, you do get access to our Next Tech Pathway program, which will allow you to upgrade to our Next technology for $0. So certainly reach out if you're interested in that and you wanted to understand more about that program. Always happy to speak with you. Now, finally, I do want to go over some of the programs that we have available with Medtronic. Of course, you're getting an experienced education team with Medtronic. So we've been around for a little over 30 years with insulin pump therapy, the longest for sure. And we have a ton of experienced educators on our team that are more than happy to set you up and work with you after you've used the insulin pump to make sure that you're equipped and you're doing well. Our second piece here is our 24-hour helpline. So if at any point you're having an issue with your insulin pump, we actually have FedEx depots set up all across Canada. So no matter where you are, we can have our helpline, which is open 24 hours, release an insulin pump from the depot nearest to you, which will get you a replacement pump within a few hours. Now, of course, we have our eShop savings program as well. So you get to save 10% off all of your orders online if you sign up for recurring shipments. And we have a global assistance travel loaner program. And what that will do is, if and when we ever travel again, we can actually send you a free insulin pump to take with you. So should something break while you're in Italy, you'll have a replacement in your bag that you've taken with you that you can hook up and use for the rest of your vacation. All right, so that's it for me. I don't know how I should exit out of
Don't worry.
our share mode because I can't see anything else, but thank you so much everyone for joining and listening in.
Sorry, you're off. Pam's live.
Thank you so much for your presentation. I'd now like to introduce Tandem's Diabetes Care, makers of the T-Slim X2 insulin pump with basal IQ technology. Please welcome Fabrizio Lamarca, Territory Manager for Toronto and Niagara Region.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Pam, for that introduction. Welcome, everybody. Good evening. My name is Fabrizio. I'm a territory manager with Tandem, working in downtown Toronto. Very excited to be with you guys this evening. Of course, it's impossible for me to do a comprehensive full demo in 7 or 8 minutes. So what we do is we do offer one-on-one demos for anyone who's interested virtually. We do use the same platform, Microsoft Teams. So please don't hesitate to reach out to us through your diabetes center, or if you know someone at Tandem calling customer care directly, we can set up a one-on-one demo for you. So what I'm going to do over the next couple of minutes is just touch upon some of the key highlights to give you a sense as to who we are as a company and also what's different about our product. So Tandem, going into a little bit of history on the company, Tandem was founded in 2006 by a couple of engineers who really set out to revolutionize the insulin pump market. They were surprised by how few people with type 1 diabetes were actually using insulin pumps to manage their diabetes. And so they decided that they wanted to build a pump that people actually wanted to wear. And so the first starting point, the logical starting point, was to go out into community and to talk to people, to interview people like yourselves, people with type 1 diabetes. We conducted over 6,000 interviews, individuals with diabetes, their family members, their healthcare providers, to really get a sense as to what do you want in an insulin pump? What would you like the pump to look like? And how would you like the pump to operate? This formed the basis, the blueprint for the design of the pump. We collected all of this market research, and really what came back from the type 1 community was clear. First and foremost, you guys told us, if you were going to build an insulin pump, please do not make it look like a medical device. Make it slicker. Make it look more like a piece of consumer electronics. Modernize it from a technological standpoint. Incorporate things like Bluetooth technology, like software updatability, like rechargeable battery, all of the things that we've become accustomed to with our smartphones. And so ultimately, the advice was make it easy to use, easy to train from a button pushing usability standpoint. So the engineers at Tandem took this information back, they sat down and they designed this. So this is the T-Slim X2 with basal IQ technology. This is the smallest pump on the market with a 300 unit capacity. So I'm just going to show you here just to show you how small it is. It's actually smaller than a credit card, so it hides behind my credit card. It's actually the thinnest pump on the market when you consider it's thinner than the length of a dime. So very, very slick, no buttons at all, touch display. There's only one button at the top to wake up that display. A couple of things on the outside of the pump that I'd like to draw your attention to. The battery. So there is a little micro USB port on the side of the pump. This is the first pump ever to use a rechargeable battery. So we're very excited about that. The capacity of the battery is anywhere from 5 to 7 full days. You can charge the battery while you're connected to the pump. So if you're sitting in front of a computer, you can plug it in. If you're sitting in a car driving, you can plug it in without even disconnecting it from your site. Or you can disconnect it and charge it. You know, if you're taking a shower, you're hopping in the shower for 5 to 10 minutes, plug it in. 5 to 10 minutes per day is more than enough to keep the battery above the 50% mark. On the other side of the pump here is the cartridge. So we actually had to redesign the cartridge completely to be able to fit 300 units in something this slim. So what we did is we designed a little bladder. It's a bladder technology. It's a little sack that holds the insulin. It has a capacity of 300 units. Of course, you don't have to fill it to 300 units. You're going to fill it to what you need in a 3-day span. But of course, having a little bit of extra room in your cartridge for insulin, for a little bit more insulin, is always very useful. Let me just take a sip of water here. Okay, so the screen, let me turn the screen on so you can see it. So here it is. It's a high resolution color touch display, really easy to, very bright, very easy to see. What I would like to do is show you the home screen of the pump and then do a quick bolus for you so you can see what that's like. But I'm not going to do it using my demo. What I'm going to do is I'm going to actually flip to a software simulator. The software simulator is a little app that you can download free of charge from the App Store that simulates the pump in its entirety. This brings me to the #1 key advantage of Tandem over any of the other pumps, and that is the fact that it is the only pump that is fully software based. So what does that mean for you? Well, it means that on our end, we can continue to innovate. We can continue to bring new features to market, new updates, anything that we're changing to improve the process on the back end, and we can push those as software updates. So all you need to do on your end is plug the pump in via micro USB and run a simple 5-minute update to access the latest and greatest. There's no more waiting until your pump is out of warranty. You don't have to go through any upgrade to technology program. It's literally a software update. So the pump that you end up with, the Tandem pump you end up with, is going to look quite different from the pump you started on because of all of the software updates you're going to have access to over the lifespan of that pump. So bear with me. I'm going to flip over to the simulator now, and I hope this works. So just give me 1 sec here. Okay. I'm having trouble seeing my simulator here on the share screen.
It's okay. Hang on. It's coming up. So give me 1 second, Fab. I'm going to pull you live. Give me a sec. Oh, it was there. You had it.
It's not showing on my end though. That's the only thing. Can you see my phone screen?
Give me a second. I'll pull you live. I'll force it live. Give me 2 seconds. You can just maybe let the audience know we're getting to them.
Sure. We're just having a couple technical issues here, so please bear with us for a couple of seconds here.
Oh, for some reason your content is all of us.
Yeah. Okay.
You were.
That's unfortunate.
Is there no when it pulls up? Because we did so good in our test. Okay, hang on. It's coming. Yeah, give me a sec. You got it.
Can you see it?
Yeah, give me 1 second. I see it. Yep, the Tandem screen. We're sending it live. You're good.
Perfect. Wonderful. Glad we got this working. Okay, so I'm in the simulator app here. Sorry. Okay, I'm going to pull it up. So voila, here is the Tandem home screen. So this is great because what you're seeing here is what you're going to see on the pump when you are connected to a Dexcom sensor. So this is another very unique feature of Tandem, is we're the only pump right now linked and integrated with Dexcom. The reason that we're integrated with Dexcom, quite frankly, is because Dexcom is a global leader when it comes to CGM accuracy and performance. So Dexcom right now is on their G6 sensor, their 6th generation. There's no calibrations required. There's no finger sticks required. So really, many of you are probably familiar with Dexcom. Many of you may have experienced or are wearing Dexcom currently. So it is a very high performing sensor, and it does integrate with Tandem. So right on the home screen, you see CGM front and center. You're going to see your most current blood sugar showing up, as well as the rate of change arrow. You can set alarms around this. And you also have trend screens that you can scroll through. So you can look through, 1, 3, 6, 12, and 24-hour snapshots of your glucose right from the pump screen. To unlock your pump, you've got a little sequence here, a 1, 2, 3 pattern that you just follow. Now, you can also set a custom code if you want to lock it for your youngster. That is possible in the Tandem pump, but really what it unlocks is an options and a bolus button. Let me show you how easy it is to do a bolus with this pump. So I'm just going to tap on bolus. And of course, the nice thing is if you're on Dexcom, it's going to auto-populate the bolus in here. So you don't have to do anything blood sugar related. If you're not using Dexcom, you can still use the Tandem pump. You just test with a blood sugar meter, you tap, and you type in what your blood sugar is from your meter. What you really need to do is tell the pump how much you're eating. So we're going to tell it how many carbs we're about to eat. We tap on carbs. And you've got this neat little keypad. So you can just type in however many carbs you're having. So let's say 50 grams of carbs. There's a little calculator built right into the keypad. So if you're having several food items, you tap on plus, you add, whatever food items you're having, plus another 13, and then you equal it up. So you just hit equals. There's the total. Hit the check mark. And there's the unit amount. So all you need to do to deliver this, you're going to see 2 confirmation screens. You confirm the first one, and then you confirm on the second to deliver the bolus. So really, really easy, really turnkey, and that's how it was designed. The last feature I want to talk about here in the simulator is Basal IQ. It is the latest feature that Tandem launched. It launched in January of 2020 of this year, and it was pushed out as a free software update to all current Tandem users. The pumps now come preloaded with Basal IQ. What is Basal IQ? It's a predictive low glucose suspend algorithm. And it's pretty straightforward in terms of how it works. So Dexcom is going to send the blood sugar to the pump every 5 minutes. It sends a new blood sugar to the Tandem pump. The Tandem pump is then going to take that blood sugar and run it through an algorithm to predict what the blood sugar is going to be in the next 30 minutes. And if the prediction is that you're going to drop below 4.4, if you're going to drop low within the next half an hour, the pump is going to stop delivering basal insulin for the next 5 minutes. So I'm just going to simulate it here so you can see what it looks like. Effectively, with Basal IQ on your pump, every 5 minutes, the pump is making a decision. It's saying, am I suspending basal insulin? Am I staying suspended? Or am I resuming delivery? So what you're going to notice is throughout the course of the day, you're going to start to see these little red bars showing up on your trend screen. These are suspension lines. So this is just showing you where Basal IQ predicted you were going to go low and where it determined it needed to stop delivering basal insulin. So of course, the beauty of this feature is that it is stopping the lows from happening. It's really reducing the amount of lows you're experiencing over the course of the day. But the best part about this algorithm, and quite frankly, all of Tandem's algorithms, is that they're designed to run quietly in the background. There's no alarms. There's no calibration requests. There is nothing that you as a user need to do to make this algorithm work the way it was intended. It literally just sits in the background over top of your basal rates, and it quietly turns the basal on and off throughout the course of the day to minimize the amount of time that you're spending in hypoglycemia. So I'm just going to stop sharing my screen here. How do I do that? Sorry about that, guys. This is quite different from what I'm used to here in the live version. Danielle or Pam, can you just stop sharing my screen for me, or do I have to do that on my end? Oh, never mind.
You're good.
Here, I'm back.
It's you.
Okay, perfect, great. So thank you so much, guys. You know, I think this is a really game-changing feature. We've received tremendous feedback on Basal IQ. We're very excited for it, and we're very excited for you guys to experience this algorithm for yourself. If you would like to reach out to Tandem, you know, please talk to your diabetes educator. We're more than happy to set up, like I mentioned, one-on-one demos with each of you. We have demo infusion sets you can try. We have demo pumps as well that we're able to spread around if you'd like to play with the pump. But we do have that simulator that's available as a free download. So we do recommend that you download it to really give you that firsthand experience of navigating through the pump menus in their entirety. So with that, I'm going to say thank you so much for your attention, and I'm going to pass it back to Pam.
Thank you so much. I'd now like to introduce Ypsomed Diabetes Care, makers of the Ypso pump insulin pump system. Please welcome Todd Derniak, General Manager.
Todd, you're on mute.
There we go. Zoom calls all day, and I'm on mute finally in the end of the day. All right, thanks, guys. I'm going to share my screen and pop this up. Good. Great. Thank you, everyone. I'd like to give you a little bit of perspective on the Ypso pump. As I said, we're the newest pump on the Canadian market. And just a couple of disclaimers before I get into the meat of the presentation. We're going to be talking about future innovations. And some of these are currently in development, and these features they may vary, and access to these technologies is always contingent upon regulatory approval. Thank you for that. Now, we're the newest pump on the market here, but we're not the newest company in pumps. And we trace our history all the way back to the H-Tron in 1985. So all of these innovations all along the way wind up with the Ypso pump, which was launched in Europe in 2016. So let's take a look at the Ypso pump. And when people hold the pump in their hand, the first thing they say is, oh my gosh, it's small. And it's actually the smallest. It weighs 83 grams, and that's with a full reservoir that holds 160 units and a AAA battery that's easily replaceable and powers that pump for 30 days. And the profile of this pump, you see it next to an iPhone, but it's about the size of your standard business card. The phone is paired with an app, and it goes on iOS or Android. And right now there's one-way communication between the pump and the app. You put your blood glucose measurements into the app, do your calculations there, enter them in on the pump. The pump will take your diabetes data, sync it back to the phone, and that phone syncs the data to the cloud. So let's take a closer look at the pump. And we've just launched our Ypsomed Explorer app. And here's a picture of what you see on the app. It allows you to explore the pump in 3 dimensions, front, back, and side. But more than that, it allows you to simulate using the pump as if it were in your hands. Here we unlock the pump, and you see our icon-driven technology. There's actually no text other than numbers and icons on this pump. You see bolus, basal, and cartridge management icons there. And I want to talk a little bit about our cartridge. Now, the Ypso pump has a unique cartridge because it's the only one out there that's glass. And glass can keep insulin stable for 7 days without refrigeration at room temperature, or up to 30 days in the refrigerator. Sorry, that is the same one. There we go. So here's how the reservoir has changed. Now, because the reservoir is 160 units, we've taken that and made it changeable relative to the infusion set. So in other words, if you use more than that insulin, you don't have to change your set. You just hot swap out the reservoir, pop it in, use the same set, and vice versa. If you have to change the set and you still have insulin and it's still good, you can change the set and reuse the cartridge So that's a unique feature of the Ypsopump. So here's our portfolio. We have the pump, we have our infusion sets, we have our Orbit steel and soft. We also have an inset. We have a separate inserter. Now, see, these are the insulin cartridges. They're self-filled. And then, of course, our app and our diabetes management software, which is cloud-based. And now I want to take you into the future a little bit about what we're doing next. And we've signed a partnership with Dexcom to include their data into our Ypsopump system. And the first step there is Ypsomed Assist. That pairs with the Dexcom G6, brings the data directly into the app where you can do your calculations. And then finally, we'll be moving on to Ypsomed Loop, which will be an automated insulin delivery algorithm. So there's a couple of steps along the way here. First is Ypsomed Assist. This is an app-based integration. Now, we heard a little bit about software and pumps, but we've decided to take the software in our system and put it on the phone. So when this is finally available, you will be able to update the app. No need to replace the pump or do anything to the pump. All of the updates will come on the app. So that will allow the Dexcom G6 data to go into the app. You can do your calculations, and the Ypsopump will be reporting that data back into the phone, which serves as the repository for that data and linking to the cloud. The next step in the future would be Ypsomed Dose, and that establishes two-way communication between the app and the pump, and this will allow remote bolus delivery via the app to the pump. No automation yet, and that comes next. The final stage that we're looking at is Ypsomed Loop, and that will take the G6 data, use an algorithm, and the Ypsopump together to drive the system. And the phone is the center of that system going forward. So what's the roadmap look like for us? And you know, these dates can vary, but right now we're planning Ypsomed Assist sometime in the first half of 2021, Ypsomed Dose the second half, and Ypsomed Loop later on in 2023. So there'll be a long set of innovations coming with the pump in the future. So that's a little bit about the pump, a little bit about what we're doing from a technology standpoint. And I hope I kept your interest, because we want to make it simple, we want to make it digital, and then we're working towards automation in the future. Thank you very much for your time, and I hope to answer your questions later on. Thanks.
Thank you so much. We'll now open the session for questions. My first question is for Carol Ann at Insulet. Can you explain what is the advantage of the Omni Dash system?
You're on mute, Carol Ann.
Same thing. It's 10 o'clock here. So yes, it's a great question. Hard to cover in the first 6 minutes. But really the biggest advantage is that we will also be moving to more like a cell phone like device. So the Dash device is locked down for use to control your pod. There are some new settings that are not available on our current system. So you have a 0 basal rate that you have access to. You have smaller carb ratios, and it's sleek and sexy. So a lot of people like the smaller profile.
Okay, and I have another question for Carol Ann as well. Can you please elaborate on the blood glucose system? How does it work specifically? And does it have an automatic shutoff?
The blood glucose system. So in the current PDM, there is a blood glucose meter in the bottom. So it holds the Abbott Freestyle Light strip, and you put the strip into the bottom of the PDM and it turns it into a blood glucose meter. So you can there's a lot less to carry because all you need is the PDM that controls your pod and acts as a blood glucose meter if you choose to use that. You can also enter your number manually if you're using a Dexcom or a flash blood glucose monitor.
Okay, thank you so much. My next question is for John at Medtronic. Are you waterproof?
Great question. We absolutely are. So we are waterproof up to 24 hours. Oops.
Oh, no. You're okay.
Now I'm okay. Perfect. Excellent. So great question. I feel like this wouldn't be a virtual presentation without at least a few glitches. So glad I was able to participate. Yeah, we are absolutely waterproof. So we're waterproof up to a depth of 24 hours, or sorry, 12 feet for 24 hours. So I like to say if we're deeper than 12 feet for longer than 24 hours, we have way more problems than our insulin pump.
Thank you. I have another question for you as well, John. What CGM does it work with?
Another really good question. So Medtronic has our own CGM. It's called our Guardian Sensor 3. It's the newest CGM that's been released specifically with the MiniMed 670G. Extremely accurate sensor with a transmitter as well, and it works very much like many other sensors on the market in the sense that it'll send that information over to the pump every 5 minutes, of course, for the pump to then make those automated decisions for you.
Thank you. My next set of questions is for Tandem and Fabrizio. How does the battery life hold out in the cold? This person works outdoors in the winter and does not have access to a power source.
Yeah, there we go. Perfect. Yeah. So thanks for that question. So this is a medical grade battery that goes into the Tandem pump. So it is really not designed to lose capacity in cold temperatures. And we also have to remember that the pump is often being worn closer to the body. So we've got our body heat sort of warming the device up. Another point on the battery is that I've had this question as well. Does the battery lose capacity over the lifespan of the pump, since you may be wearing the pump for 4 or 5 years plus? And the answer is no. It's designed to maintain its capacity over the lifespan of the pump, and if a patient were to ever encounter, issues with the battery over the course of the time that you're wearing the pump, it is fully covered under the pump warranty. So you would just call tech support 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and you would essentially get a new pump replacement.
Thank you. Another question for you is, does the Tandem have a low-high blood glucose adjustment automatically?
So a low-high blood glucose adjustment automatically, I'm assuming that what the question is there automation on the high end as well? The answer right now with Basal IQ is no. What Basal IQ is doing is it is suspending suspending basal insulin based on a predictive algorithm looking 30 minutes into the future. So if you want to consider it kind of like a light switch that's toggling basal insulin on and off throughout the course of the day based on this predictive algorithm, that is what it does. But we do know that often the highs that we're experiencing, a lot of the highs we're experiencing over the course of the day come from over treating some of the lows that we're experiencing. So what people are finding is that with Basal IQ, it's minimizing the hypoglycemia experience throughout the course of the day, but that's also reducing the amount of hyperglycemia that's being experienced as well.
Thank you. I don't see any questions that have come in for you, Todd. Is there anything that you would like to add? Do you see any coming in, Danielle?
Hi, everyone. My name's Danielle. I'm the disembodied voice you've been hearing in the background. I'm the Director of Volunteer and Community Engagement here. And I do have a couple of questions for Todd. And so the first one, I'm going to go for both and then I'll allow you to answer both. Is the Ypsopump waterproof? That actually came twice. And also, does the app or upgrades in the app cost money? And give me a second here to send Todd live so he can answer these.
Hi, Danielle. Thanks for those questions. And yes, we are waterproof. IPX rating, which is 1 meter for 60 minutes. So we are waterproof for IPX8 rating. And the app upgrade is there's no charge for that. When we do get clearance for the app upgrade, you will get that app right through the App Store, and will upgrade to your app on the phone, whether you have iOS or Android platforms.
Thank you so much. We had one other question come through for Medtronic and Tandem, and these people would like to see the part that gets inserted. Is there a way for you to show that?
I'll send that to you, Fab.
Sure. Yeah. So when you're talking about the part that gets inserted, I'm assuming you're referring to the infusion set. And so really what we do here at Tandem is we've partnered, we're big believers in synergy through partnership. So we've partnered with Uno Medical, which is the company that the global leaders in infusion set manufacturing technology. We have a variety of infusion sets available through Uno Medical. We have sets that go straight in, sets that are that go in at an angle, at a 30-degree angle. I've got examples here of 2 of them. This is called AutoSoft 90. This is what it looks like here on the body. So I'll just show you the center one here. It inserts at a 90-degree angle, and this is the inserter for it. So you've got everything you need in this neat little package here. Needle puts it in, the needle slides out, and what's left behind is this set right here, which then your tubing just clips in and out of. So you can just slide the tubing off just like this. And then if you want to clip it back in, it just slides in until you hear a little click. We have angled sets available as well. So this is called AutoSoft 30. This is the inserter for it. Again, pretty much everything you need is in this little package here. It inserts at a 30-degree angle, and this is what it looks like here on the body. I think the beautiful thing about infusion sets and having options is that it's not a one-size-fits-all. And so what works for one may not work for another. So having options in terms of trying out infusion sets as you're starting off on a pump, or even if you run into issues with one infusion set, and you need to try some other options to see if you can sort of overcome those issues. That's the beautiful thing about tubed pumps and being able to try different infusion sets. Those are 2 examples of the more popular sets, but we also have other ones available, manual as versus automatic as well.
Thanks, and I'm going to send this over to John David to answer the same question.
Perfect, thank you. So absolutely, so Medtronic has 7 different infusion sets available, all with the various tubing lengths for each of the sets, various cannula lengths, so how deep you want that cannula to go for each of the sets, as well as whether you want that set to automatically inject or manually inject. Do you want a steel cannula or a plastic cannula? So there are so many different combinations in terms of different sets that you can use. I don't know if this is something I can do or if it's something that anyone would be interested in, but I do have our newest and most popular Mio Advanced infusion set that I could demo, but I don't want to take up time, or if it's not appropriate, I'm happy not to do that either.
How much time does it take?
You know what? Let me show you how quick we can do it. It won't take very long at all. So here we have the infusion set, which is in essence very small. We just have it like that, and it's quite literally a 2-step process, right? So we have the infusion set. You take off the sticky part on the bottom, you take off the locking mechanism on the top, and you're done. So it's a very, very quick insertion. It's not difficult to do at all, and you can put it anywhere that you would normally inject.
Thank you so much. I have one last question that I'm going to pose to, I will pose that one to Todd. Are there any companies considering making a device without tubing? And you're live, Todd.
Sure, there are future devices that are under development across the board, but right now available to the marketplace, no, we don't have one. But there are devices out there that we're thinking about.
Wonderful.
Okay, well, thank you so much. That has come to an end of our question and answer portion. So thank you to everyone for joining today, and a special thanks to Carol Ann, John David, Fabrizio, and Todd. Please remember to check jdrf.ca for the latest updates on the upcoming Let's Talk T1D series on staying connected over the holidays on December 8th. We also host a virtual connection series on the 4th Wednesday of each month. This is an unstructured opportunity to connect with others with no formal programming. To learn more and sign up for the next connection series on November 25th at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, please visit jdrf.ca. Just a quick reminder that contact information for our speakers will be sent to you tomorrow if you have any questions for follow-up. This presentation will also be posted on the JDRF YouTube page. Thank you again to our sponsors of Let's Talk T1D, Insulet Canada, Medtronic, Novo Nordisk, Tandem Diabetes Care, and Ypsomed Diabetes Care. Without them, this wouldn't be possible. We hope that you found this talk informative and engaging. Thank you so much and have a nice evening.